It's funny, isn't it? How you can pour your entire heart and soul into something, dedicate years of your life, sacrifice everything, only to have it all ripped away by the one person who should have been your biggest cheerleader, my sister, my younger sister, the one I loved, protected, and always believed in. She wasn't just a rival, she was a saboteur. She systematically dismantled my dreams, piece by agonizing piece, all to claim a crown that was never rightfully hers. I'm going to take you through every raw, painful, and ultimately vindicating step of how my own flesh and blood completely shattered my trust and my life. This isn't just a story. It's the unraveling of a family, a complex web of deceit that took years to untangle, and how I ultimately found my way back from the brink. Seriously, this is probably the most detailed, most personal story I've ever shared. You might want to grab a coffee or tea because we're going deep. All right, so to truly understand the depth of this wound, we need to go back. This all started around 8 years ago when my relationship with my younger sister Chloe was what I genuinely believed was unbreakable. She was 3 years younger than me, and for most of our lives I was her protector, her confidante, her guide through the tricky waters of adolescence. I taught her how to do her makeup, how to navigate high school cliques, how to study for exams. She looked up to me, or so I thought. We shared a bedroom, whispers late into the night, dreams of the future. She had this infectious giggle, a mischievous sparkle in her eyes, and a seemingly innocent charm that drew everyone to her. Our parents, loving but often preoccupied with their careers, had fostered a sense of togetherness, always emphasizing that we were a team, a united front. They'd always said, "Sisters forever," a mantra that, ironically, would come back to haunt me with the force of a tidal wave. If I had to give this entire agonizing chapter of my life a title, it would simply be The Unforgivable Betrayal. How my own family broke me and how I fought back. More specifically, the sister who stole my crown. Pageantry wasn't just a hobby for me, it was my passion, my path. I started competing in local pageants when I was 14, not for the glitz or the glamour, but for the scholarships. We weren't a wealthy family, and I knew that if I wanted to go to my dream university, I'd need significant financial aid. Pageants offered that. I excelled at it. I loved the interview portion, the chance to speak about issues I cared about. I loved the talent portion. I'd been playing the cello since I was 6. And I loved the community service aspect, spending countless hours volunteering at local animal shelters and food banks. I worked tirelessly, practicing my walk, perfecting my interview responses, refining my talent piece. My bedroom walls were covered in newspaper clippings, congratulatory cards, and yes, a growing collection of tiaras and sashes. Each one represented not just a win, but a step closer to my future. Chloe, at first, was genuinely supportive. She'd sit in the audience, cheering me on, making handmade signs with glitter and misspelled words. She'd help me pack my gowns, hold my water bottle backstage, and listen patiently as I rehearsed my interview answers. She seemed proud of me, genuinely happy for my successes. As I got older and the competitions became more intense, the stakes higher, regional, then state-level pageants with substantial scholarship prizes, Chloe started expressing interest in joining. I was thrilled. I saw it as a chance for us to bond even more, to share something I loved. I mentored her, teaching her everything I knew, from perfecting her pivot turn to crafting compelling interview answers. I even helped her choose her talent, a beautiful lyrical dance routine. I truly believed we could be a sister duo, maybe even compete together one day. Looking back, the early cracks were almost imperceptible, like hairline fractures in a foundation you assume is solid. They started small, with Chloe becoming a little too interested in my practice schedule, a little too critical of my performance. "Your smile looked a bit forced there, didn't it?" she'd say. "Or are you sure that gown is your color?" I dismissed it as sisterly banter. perhaps a touch of harmless competitiveness. After all, she was just starting out, and I was the seasoned veteran. Then there were the accidents, the spilled coffee on my interview outfit right before a preliminary round, the mysterious static electricity that messed with my hair right before the evening gown competition, the lost sheet music for my cello piece that miraculously reappeared minutes before I was due on stage, causing a last-minute panic. Each time, Chloe would be right there, offering frantic apologies, bustling around, trying to help. I'd brush them off, attributing them to nerves, to the chaotic energy of pageant day. Why wouldn't I? My sister wasn't malicious, she was just a bit clumsy, a little overwhelmed. The real red flags began to appear when Chloe started competing in the same major state-level pageants as me. She had quickly caught up, fueled by a fierce ambition that surprised even me. But her methods, they started to feel different. At one major regional pageant, where the winner would secure a spot at nationals, I felt unwell backstage, dizzy, nauseous. I had to excuse myself, missing the final practice walkthrough. Chloe, ever the concerned sister, had given me a special energy drink she swore would help. I didn't win that pageant. I felt too weak to perform at my best. Chloe, however, placed in the top 5, a remarkable achievement for her first big competition. I congratulated her, despite my disappointment, genuinely believing I just had a bad day. Then there were the whispers. Contestants, other pageant moms, even some judges, would sometimes give me strange looks, or I'd overhear snippets of conversations. "Did you hear about what she did? Or such a shame, after all her hard work?" I'd try to ask, but people would just shake their heads, their expressions a mix of pity and judgment. I dismissed it as typical pageant gossip, the competitive nature of the circuit. The first truly jarring incident occurred a few months before the Miss Evergreen State Pageant, the biggest competition of the year, with a full-ride scholarship to my top-choice university at stake. I was the reigning Miss Evergreen County, and considered a strong contender for the state title. I was at home, meticulously reviewing my competition portfolio, my resume, my platform essay, my letters of recommendation. I kept it all in a locked briefcase, knowing how important these documents were. I went downstairs for a snack, and when I returned, my briefcase was open and the contents slightly disturbed. My letters of recommendation, specifically, were no longer in their original order. A cold dread settled in my stomach. Only Chloe and my parents had access to my room, and my parents were out of town. I confronted Chloe, casually at first. "Hey, did you happen to touch my briefcase?" She looked at me, her eyes wide and innocent. "No, why would I? I know how important that stuff is to you." Her denial was convincing, almost too convincing, but the uneasy feeling lingered. I checked the letters. They looked fine, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The real breaking point, the moment the world tilted on its axis, happened during the Miss Evergreen State Pageant itself, the final night. I had performed well in the preliminary rounds, acing my interview and delivering a powerful talent performance. I felt confident. Chloe was also competing. She had performed admirably too, and I was proud of her. We were both in the top 10. During the evening gown competition, as I was walking across the stage, gliding under the spotlights, I felt a sharp, sudden pain in my heel. I stumbled, almost fell, but managed to regain my balance, my heart hammering in my chest. I finished my walk, mortified. After I exited the stage, I quickly checked my shoe. The heel of my expensive, custom-made gown shoe had been deliberately, expertly cut, almost to the point of snapping. It was a precise, clean cut, not a break. Someone had sabotaged it, and I knew, with a sickening certainty, who. I remember that moment clearly. The air left my lungs, and a cold, hard resolve settled in. This is it, I thought. Enough is enough. They crossed a line they can never uncross. It wasn't just the shoe. It was the lost music, the spilled coffee, the special energy drink that made me sick. It was all of it. My own sister, the girl I had championed, had been systematically trying to sabotage me. The shoe incident was the final undeniable proof of her malicious intent. The realization hit me like a physical blow. My sister sabotaging my dreams. It felt like the ground beneath me had evaporated. The girl who I had taught everything, who I had poured my heart into mentoring, was actively working to destroy my future, to steal my scholarship opportunities. My stomach churned. A wave of nausea washed over me. I had to get out of there before I confronted her, before I did something I'd regret. I mumbled a hasty excuse to my chaperone and practically ran to the dressing room, the image of my broken heel echoing in my mind, mocking me. That night, I barely slept. My mind raced, replaying every suspicious incident, the accidents, the odd comments, the briefcase. It all clicked into place, forming a horrifying tapestry of deceit. My anger was a hot, searing flame, but beneath it was a profound, aching sorrow. How could she? How could my sister do this? The betrayal wasn't just about a pageant, it was a betrayal of our sisterhood, of my trust, of my dreams for college. I felt violated, like a fool for having been so blind, so trusting. The next morning, I woke up with a singular, overwhelming purpose. I had to find out the full truth, every single detail, and then I had to do something about it. My first thought was to confront her directly, to unleash all my pain and fury, but a cooler, more logical part of my brain intervened. If she was truly sabotaging me, a direct confrontation would just lead to denial, deflection, and her covering her tracks. I needed proof, undeniable, irrefutable proof. My immediate raw emotional fallout was a constant knot in my stomach. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep properly. Every conversation with her felt like a performance, a charade. I'd look at her, her sweet smile, her seemingly innocent eyes, and a wave of revulsion would wash over me. The girl I saw was a stranger, a master manipulator. Thoughts of revenge flickered through my mind. Expose her immediately, shout it from the rooftops. But then, thoughts of my parents, the scandal, the absolute devastation it would cause. It held me back. This wasn't just about my pain. It was about the potential destruction of our entire family, our standing in the community. It was about all the work I had put in, the scholarships I was relying on. My internal struggle was agonizing. Do I protect my family name and let this continue? Or do I expose the truth and shatter everything? The answer, slow and painful, began to emerge. I had to expose it, not out of malice, but out of a desperate need for justice, for restitution for what she had cost me. I couldn't live with myself, knowing that my sister was achieving her dreams by trampling on mine, and I was silently complicit. I started to conceive my plan. It was slow, meticulous, and terrifying. My first step was to discreetly gather more evidence of her past behavior, specifically anything that would point to a pattern of sabotage or dishonesty. I couldn't just rely on the cut heel, as damning as it was. I needed a larger narrative. My research undertaken involved becoming a meticulous detective. I remembered snippets of conversations, odd behaviors. I started by looking into Chloe's past pageant history, specifically any disqualifications or unusual incidents. I knew she had competed in a few local pageants before she started doing the larger ones. I began my deep dive into the obscure corners of the pageant world. I spent hours online poring over old regional pageant forums, local news archives, even deep diving into social media posts from years ago. It was tedious, frustrating work. I remembered hearing vague rumors about Chloe being disqualified from a small local pageant when she was much younger, something about an undisclosed professional photo shoot. At the time, I dismissed it as minor, a misunderstanding. Now it was a crucial lead. I learned about the strict eligibility rules for most major pageants, especially regarding professional modeling contracts, or endorsement deals for contestants under a certain age. Undisclosed contracts were a big deal, often leading to immediate disqualification. I painstakingly searched for any evidence of Chloe participating in such activities. My new skill learned was how to extract information without leaving a trace. I reactivated old social media accounts that I barely used, creating a burner email address. I contacted former contestants, coaches, even low-level pageant officials, posing as a student, writing a paper on the ethics of youth pageantry. It was emotionally draining, asking leading questions, pretending I was detached, all while my stomach churned with anxiety. This was the immense patience and emotional toll this phase took. Every conversation felt like a tightrope walk. Obstacles and setbacks faced during this planning period were numerous. Many people were reluctant to share information, citing confidentiality or simply not wanting to get involved. There were countless nights I almost gave up, where the weight of it all felt too heavy, like when I hit a dead end trying to track down the photographer for that rumored professional shoot. It felt like everyone was protecting her, or simply didn't want to revisit old drama. I considered giving up, the sheer exhaustion almost overwhelming me. But then I remembered the scholarships, the dream university, the years of my life I'd poured into this. And I remembered the feeling of that sharp pain in my heel, the deliberate, malicious intent behind it. The anger would resurface, a cold, hard resolve settling in. I couldn't stop. My breakthrough came when I remembered Chloe's old high school drama teacher, Ms. Jenkins. Chloe had been involved in community theater for a while, and Ms. Jenkins was known for being very detail-oriented and connected to local arts and entertainment scenes. I sent Ms. Jenkins an email, framing my inquiry about Chloe's early pageant experiences as part of my research. I mentioned the rumor of the photo shoot, hoping it would jog her memory. Ms. Jenkins, surprisingly, responded quickly. She confirmed the rumor. "Oh yes," her email read. Chloe was quite ambitious even then. She signed a small contract for a local boutique's modeling campaign, and they used her photos in print ads. It was a minor thing, but technically it violated the amateur status rules for the Little Miss Blossom pageant. She was quietly disqualified. Her parents pulled her out before it became a big issue. And then, the kicker, I believe the photos might still be online somewhere on the boutique's old website, or maybe even on a local photographer's archived portfolio. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst. This was it, the direct link, the undeniable proof of a past disqualification due to a violation of pageant rules that applied across virtually all major competitions. It wasn't just about sabotage, it was about her history of bending and breaking the rules for personal gain. I immediately went to work. I tracked down the old boutique's website through internet archives, but it was defunct. Then I looked up local photographers who specialized in child and teen portraits from that period. It took hours, sifting through hundreds of outdated portfolios. And then I found it, a small, almost hidden gallery on a local photographer's archived site. A series of professionally shot photos of a much younger Chloe, posing in various outfits for the Gilded Lily boutique. Each photo was clearly watermarked with the photographer's studio name and the boutique's logo. The dates matched the period of the Little Miss Blossom pageant disqualification. This was the smoking gun. This confirmed her past disqualification, and more importantly, showed a pattern of disregarding eligibility rules. I meticulously downloaded and timestamped every relevant image. I cross-referenced the pageant rules from that specific year, highlighting the exact clause she had violated. I compiled a detailed dossier, complete with the direct links to the archived photos, the specific pageant rules, and a summary of my findings, alongside a discreet mention of the pattern of concerning behavior during my own pageant experiences, including the sabotaged shoe, It was a document that presented a clear, irrefutable case of a consistent disregard for rules and ethical conduct. The strategic unfolding of my plan was precise. I didn't want this to be a whisper campaign. I wanted it to be a clear, undeniable revelation. I knew simply telling my parents or the local pageant director wouldn't be enough. This was the state level. This involved national affiliations, big scholarships. I needed to go higher. My plan involved two key components, the judges and the media. I knew the pageant judges for Miss Evergreen State were usually brought in from out of town, and they held immense power. And for the media, I didn't want a full-blown scandal initially, but I needed to ensure the story couldn't be buried. I found the contact information for the head judge of the Miss Evergreen State pageant, a well-respected figure in the national pageant circuit. I also found contact information for a local investigative journalist known for covering community issues, including events that impact young people and educational opportunities. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst when I finally sent the emails. I attached my meticulously prepared dossier to both. The email to the head judge was formal, respectful, stating that I had uncovered concerning information that directly impacted the integrity of the Miss Evergreen State pageant and the fairness of the competition. I requested an urgent, confidential review. The email to the journalist was more cautious, simply stating that I had uncovered information about a significant ethical breach within the recent Miss Evergreen State pageant that had implications for scholarship integrity, and that I was prepared to share documentation. I didn't name Chloe immediately to the journalist. I wanted her to see the evidence first. The response from the head judge came within hours. She called me, her voice stern and serious. "I have reviewed your document," she said, "and these allegations are extremely grave. We take the integrity of our competition very seriously. We need to meet immediately, in person. This cannot wait." She arranged a discreet meeting for the very next day. I also received an email from the journalist, intrigued by my cautious but compelling message. She requested a phone call, then a meeting to review the information. The confrontation, the strategic unfolding, began not with my sister, but with the institutions that had been affected by her deceit. My heart was pounding as I walked into the anonymous hotel conference room the next day to meet with the head judge and two other senior pageant officials. I presented my case calmly, logically, walking them through the digital evidence. I showed them Chloe's childhood photos from the boutique, the explicit rules she violated for her past disqualification, and then, very carefully, I shared my personal experiences of the sabotaged shoe and the other accidents, emphasizing the pattern of behavior. Their faces, initially skeptical, turned to stone as they reviewed the evidence. The head judge looked up, her gaze piercing. "This is a direct violation of our rules regarding past disqualifications and professional conduct," she stated. "If this information is accurate, Miss Chloe Evans is ineligible for any title or scholarship from this organization, and any previous wins may be subject to review." And then, the moment I had both dreaded and yearned for arrived. The climax, the consequences. The pageant officials moved swiftly and discreetly at first. They confronted Chloe. I wasn't there, but I later learned she was brought into a closed-door meeting with the head judge and Father Michael, the local priest who often served as an ethical advisor to community events. Chloe, faced with the undeniable photographic evidence and the specific rules she violated, broke down. She initially tried to deny everything, claiming the photos were just for fun and that the previous disqualification was a misunderstanding. But when confronted with the meticulous details and the veiled threat of a formal public investigation if she didn't cooperate, she admitted to the past violation. The officials then explained the implications. Chloe would be disqualified from the Miss Evergreen State pageant. She would have to forfeit her placement, and most importantly, any scholarship money she would have received. They were also considering a lifetime ban from all associated pageants. My father, having been informed by the head judge, had driven over to the hotel, his face pale with shock and fury. He was present for some of this discussion, and then came the conversation about the Miss Evergreen State crown. Because Chloe was disqualified, the first runner-up, a girl named Sarah, would be named Miss Evergreen State, and the scholarship, the one I had worked for, the one my sister had tried to steal, it would go to Sarah. A bittersweet victory. Justice, yes, but not for me directly. However, the pageant officials, having heard my detailed account of her ongoing sabotage, including the cut shoe, understood the depth of what I had lost. They couldn't retroactively award me the crown or the scholarship from this pageant, as I hadn't been the first runner-up, but they offered me something else. An immediate, unconditional scholarship to my dream university, funded directly by the National Pageant Organization's Integrity and Excellence Fund. They recognized my integrity in coming forward and the personal cost I had paid. It wasn't the crown, but it was the future I had fought for. It was vindication. My face was wet with tears of relief and exhaustion. The immediate aftermath for Chloe was devastating. The news of her disqualification, while initially handled internally, quickly became an open secret. The pageant world, for all its glitter, is a small one. Whispers spread like wildfire. The local journalist I had contacted, armed with my dossier and the now confirmed disqualification, ran a story, not sensational, but factual, detailing a disqualification due to eligibility concerns, stemming from a past modeling contract. It didn't explicitly name Chloe in the headline, but it was enough. The article implied the integrity of the pageant had been upheld due to vigilant oversight. It didn't need to name me as the source. The evidence spoke for itself. Chloe faced immense public humiliation within our community. Her friends distanced themselves. The local newspaper, after the initial factual report, ran an editorial about the importance of ethics in youth activities. The sweet Chloe image she had cultivated shattered. She withdrew from her university applications, her dreams of higher education through pageants gone. She spiraled, retreating into herself, rarely leaving the house. My parents, consumed by shame and disappointment, tried to manage the fallout. My father was devastated, both by Chloe's actions and the public embarrassment. My mother was torn, trying to defend Chloe while grappling with the undeniable evidence. My life fundamentally changed after the resolution of the betrayal. I went to my dream university, thanks to the National Pageant Scholarship. It was a lifeline, but the emotional scars remained. My relationship with Chloe became non-existent. She blamed me fiercely for exposing her. She couldn't see her own responsibility, only my betrayal. We haven't spoken in years, beyond strained family gatherings where we barely acknowledge each other's presence. The sister I grew up with, the one I loved, is gone, replaced by a bitter, resentful stranger. My parents were caught in the middle. Their attempts to reconcile us were futile. They were deeply hurt by Chloe's actions, but also by the public nature of the fallout. Our family dynamic, once so close, was fractured beyond repair. Holidays are awkward, silent affairs. The trust is gone. The process of healing and rebuilding has been long and arduous. For me, it involved therapy, deep introspection, and a painful reevaluation of what family truly means. I learned to trust my instincts more, to stand up for myself, even when it meant confronting the most painful truths. It also instilled in me a fierce sense of justice and a profound understanding of the devastating impact of betrayal, especially within families. I had to redefine what sisterhood meant to me, moving beyond blood ties to include those friends and mentors who genuinely offered unwavering support and honesty. Looking back on it all now, after all these years, I feel a profound sense of peace, mixed with lingering sadness. I am stronger than ever before, but forever changed. The naive girl who thought sisterly love was unbreakable, who believed dreams were only shattered by external forces, is gone. In her place is a woman who understands the complexities of human nature, the darkness that can lurk beneath the most charming facade, and the incredible resilience required to fight for truth, even when it means tearing your own world apart. I carry the scars, yes, but also the strength that came from facing the unbearable and surviving. The scholarship was my vindication, my pathway forward, proving that integrity, in the end, always wins. So yeah, that's the story. That entire period was one of the most brutal and transformative of my life. It took everything out of me, but it also taught me invaluable lessons about trust, resilience, setting boundaries, self-worth, and the true meaning of winning. It taught me that sometimes the hardest choices are the only right choices, no matter the personal cost. I'm sharing this because I believe many of you have faced some form of betrayal, especially from those closest to you, to show that even from the deepest wounds, you can heal and rebuild. To shine a light on the hidden complexities of family dynamics and the sometimes uncomfortable truth that family doesn't always mean unconditional good. Maybe some of you can relate to the pain of betrayal or the difficult decision to prioritize truth over loyalty, even when it means sacrificing a relationship. Whew. Thanks for sticking with me through that absolute emotional marathon. I know it was a lot, but I truly wanted to share the full, unvarnished truth of what happened. If this story resonated with you, if you felt every twist and turn with me, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories, though hopefully my next one won't be quite as intense, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. What did you think? What part of this betrayal shocked you the most? Or what would you have done in my shoes? I genuinely love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. This is the kind of story that sticks with you, and I bet it will for a while. Alright everyone, that's it from me for this one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.